Hello friends, myself Divas Joshi. I once again welcome all of you in my YouTube channel. So friends, in my today's topic, I will be covering how to calculate the efficiency of boiler using indirect method. So friends, all of you must be aware that the first part of this video is already live in YouTube. It is highly recommended that you should go and watch the first part of this video before proceeding in this method. We are interested in the calculation of heat losses. In my first video, I have explained you that the total heat losses that are bound to occur in a boiler system can be differentiated into 8 different losses. Here I will be covering the third loss, that is heat loss due to presence of moisture in fuel, and I will be considering it as L3. So friends, again I am having the same assumption. So the assumption is we are considering 1 kg of the fuel. So it is very much clear that whatever we will be calculating with reference to 1 kg of fuel. Now suppose in 1 kg of fuel moisture present is m kg. So we will be requiring the value of this m subsequently. Now how you can calculate the value of this m? So friends, generally in the questions it is given like that. Suppose moisture in the fuel is 10% by weight. So what does this mean? This means that in 100 kg of fuel moisture present is 10 kg. So by using the concept of unitary method, we can calculate very easily that how much moisture will be present in 1 kg of fuel. So in 100 kg of fuel, moisture present is 10 kg. So in 1 kg of fuel, moisture present will be 10 divided by 100, and it will come as 0.1 kg. So you can calculate very easily using the unitary method that the amount of moisture present in 1 kg of fuel 0.1 kg, and accordingly that will be the value of m. Now GCV of the fuel, that is gross calorific value, will be generally given in the question in the form of kilocalorie per kg. I will be assuming it as GCV. Now specific heat of water vapor is 0.45 kilocalorie per kg degree centigrade. This value, if not given, then you have to assume, you have to remember it as 0.45 kilocalorie per kg degree centigrade. Friends, again here I want all of you to recall that the value of specific heat of dry flue gas is 0.24 kilocalorie per kg degree centigrade, but the value of specific heat of water is 0.45 kilocalorie per kg degree centigrade. Now one thing more you must realize here, that the moisture which is present in the fuel will be in liquid state, and the moisture which is present in air will be in vapor state. Basically, if you think the moisture present in fuel or air in this way, then it will be very easy for you to understand the concept. So friends, here I have again drawn the same combustion chamber, and as you all are already aware of that in combustion chamber air enters, fuel enters, combustion takes place, and exhaust gases are released. Here they are exhaust flue gases are released. Now friends, you can see here that the moisture present in this fuel enters along with the fuel, and in the process of combustion it gets converted into water vapor by absorbing the latent heat of vaporization, and then it leaves from the exhaust and finally reaches to the ambient space, that is atmosphere. So here I have taken a point in the exhaust, that is point A, and I have assumed a point B here, something in the ambient space. So the temperature of point A is TF, that is flue gas temperature, and the temperature of point B is ambient temperature, that is TA. Now as you can see here, as the water vapor which is having a temperature of TF at point A is moving towards point B, which is at ambient temperature, there is reduction of temperature from Tf to Ta. And as you all know that whenever temperature reduces, heat energy is released. So accordingly, heat will be rejected to the atmosphere as the temperature of water vapor reduces from Tf to Ta. Now further, the water vapor also condenses outside, and as the water vapor condenses, latent heat of condensation is released. And where it will be released? Since the water vapor is condensing outside, that is in the atmosphere, so the latent heat of condensation will be released to the atmosphere. So basically you can see here there are two types of heats that is being released to the atmosphere. The first part of the heat is when the temperature of water vapor is reducing from Tf to Ta, and the second part of the heat is latent heat of condensation. When the phase of the substance is changing, the heat rejected or the heat absorbed is given by the formula m into L, where m is the mass of the substance and L is the latent heat of condensation or the latent heat of vaporization. Accordingly, you can say here the value of L is 584 kilocalorie per kg, corresponding to this partial pressure. You have to memorize this value, 584 kilocalorie per kg. Now, while I am considering the heat that is being rejected in two parts, that is from here to here, and latent heat of condensation as a loss, because you can easily see that the amount of heat rejected in the atmosphere, or you can say the ambient space, has come from where. So for this you must realize what is the source of heat energy in this complete process. So the source of heat energy generation in this process is combustion of this fuel. So whatever energy, whatever heat energy that has been released in the atmosphere has been absorbed in the combustion chamber from where? Ultimately from the fuel itself. In the boiler system, what is actually happening? In the boiler system, heat from the fuel is getting transferred to the feed water, so that feed water can convert itself into the steam. So I can say if that much heat energy has not been rejected to the atmosphere, that much heat energy would have been available with the feed water to get itself converted to steam. So probably the efficiency of the boiler would have increased. So friends, heat lost with water vapor, as you can see here, can easily be calculated in two parts. The first part is heat loss as temperature drops from Tf to Ta, that is from point A to point B, and second is the heat loss with the condensation of water vapor. Now as you all know that here, as the water vapor is getting its temperature reduced from Tf to Ta, there is no phase change occurring. So I can say that the heat rejected will be given by the basic formula m into S into delta T, where m is the mass, S is the specific heat, delta T is the temperature difference. So value of mass I have assumed m corresponding to 1 kg of fuel. The specific heat of water I am considering it as Cp. So Cp is the specific heat. Delta T, as the temperature is dropping from Tf to Ta, delta T will be equal to Tf minus Ta. Now heat loss with the condensation of water vapor will be given by m into L, where m is the mass of the moisture which is involved here, that is m, and L is the latent heat of condensation corresponding to partial pressure. Now I will rewrite it in a simplified form. So this will become mCp Tf minus Ta. This will become 584 into m. I will take m common. So this will become Cp Tf minus Ta, and here 584 will be left as such. Now I will again rearrange it. So ultimately the heat lost with water vapor will become m 584 plus Cp Tf minus Ta. This will be my equation 1. Now I will consider the amount of heat energy input by the fuel. Then only I can calculate the loss percentage. So what will be the heat energy input by the fuel. Now my basic assumption, 1 kg of fuel and the GCV of the fuel is GCV as you can see here. So heat input by the fuel will be M mass of fuel multiplied by GCV. But I have assumed 1 kg of my fuel. So accordingly, what will be the heat input to the system? That is 1 multiplied by GCV, and that you can write it as GCV itself. This will be my equation 2. Now L3. What is L3? Percentage heat loss due to formation of water vapor from moisture present in fuel will be given by equation 1 divided by equation 2 multiplied by 100, and it will come as M 584 plus Cp Tf minus Ta divided by GCV multiplied by 100. So friends, I hope now L3 is very much clear and you must have get the concept how the value of L3% is calculated. Now I will be considering the fourth loss, that is heat loss due to moisture present in air, and I will be terming it as L4. So friends, as you all are aware of that moisture is present in air and it is basically defined in terms of humidity. As you can see here, humidity is the ratio of the amount of moisture present in air to the weight of the air itself. So you must have seen at many places the value of humidity is being given like I have assumed it here, 0.01977 kg per kg of dry air. So what does this means? This value of humidity means that in 1 kg of dry air you have 0.01977 kg of moisture. In this way you can calculate the value of moisture present in air if you have the value of humidity and the value of air. So this concept is basically same as I have told you just before. Here I am considering the moisture which is present in air, but in previous of my case, that is L3, I have assumed the moisture that is present in the fuel. So the same concept, on the basis of the same concept, I am explaining you the heat loss, that is the percentage heat loss due to the moisture present in air. So again the assumption would be same, that I am assuming 1 kg of fuel. Suppose in 1 kg of fuel moisture present. Which moisture? Moisture present in air. First I need to calculate that how much air I need to supply for 1 kg of fuel. Then only I can calculate the amount of moisture which is present in that quantity of air. So friends, in my video on combustion, I have already told you about the actual air supply, that is AAS. This actual air supply is basically the theoretical air supply plus the excess air you are supplying. You can go through that video if this is not clear. So once I know the amount of actual air supplied, I can calculate the air supplied for 1 kg of my fuel. So if I get the value of the air supplied for 1 kg of fuel, I can easily calculate the amount of this M, that is mass of water vapor formed because of the moisture present in air. So M can be calculated very easily like this: actual air supplied multiplied by humidity. Now this actual air supplied means the air supplied for 1 kg of fuel, because my assumption from the very beginning is that I am considering 1 kg of fuel multiplied by humidity, that will give you the value of M. Suppose this would have been my actual value of humidity and I have supplied only 1 kg of dry air with 1 kg of fuel, then what would have been my value of M? Then in that case the value of M would have been 0.01977 kg. Now as I have already told you that you have to assume that the moisture in air will be present in the vapor state itself. Now again we are having the same combustion chamber of the boiler where fuel and air is entering, but in this case the moisture in air will come from here. Now again water vapor will produce and will leave the exhaust flue gases. like this and will ultimately lead to the ambient temperature. Now again here at point A, where the temperature is Tf, which is nothing but the flue gas temperature. Now basically there is a difference in the two concepts, that is the heat loss due to the presence of moisture in air and the heat loss due to the presence of moisture in fuel. As you can see here, the moisture which is available in air is already in vapor state. This means that since the water vapor is already in vapor state, it will not absorb latent heat of condensation from the energy which is being released in the combustion chamber. Now you can see here, as the water vapor moves from point A to point B, the temperature of water vapor reduces from Tf to Ta, and accordingly heat will be rejected to atmosphere, and subsequently water vapor will condense outside, and accordingly latent heat of condensation will be released. One thing you must take note here, that this latent heat of condensation that is released to the atmosphere has not been absorbed from the fuel. So in the calculation of my losses, I will not be taking this into my picture, because this much heat energy is not linked with the energy of the fuel. So I can say that the heat loss with water vapor due to presence of moisture in air will consist of only one part, that is heat lost as temperature drops from Tf to Ta, and no heat lost will be linked with the condensation of water vapor, because this much heat has not been absorbed from the fuel itself. So accordingly I will ignore this term, because this is not applicable in the case of heat loss due to presence of moisture in air. So accordingly this will be dropped. So accordingly this will be dropped. So the heat energy input by fuel is again mass of fuel into GCV. Now the basic assumption is that we are considering 1 kg of fuel. So the heat energy input by fuel is 1 multiplied by GCV, that is GCV, my equation 2. Now you can easily see from here that L4, that is percentage heat loss due to formation of water vapor from moisture in air, will be the ratio of equation 1 to equation 2. This will not be applicable. So ultimately the equation becomes M into Cp Tf minus Ta divided by GCV multiplied by 100. So finally if I put the value of M from here, that is actual air supply, multiplied by the humidity, the L4, that is percentage heat loss, will ultimately come as actual air supplied multiplied by humidity Cp Tf minus Ta divided by GCV multiplied by 100. This will be my L4. So you can easily see that in the losses L2, L3, L4, heat is getting lost on account of formation of water vapor. Now friends, we will move forward with the next loss, that is heat lost due to partial conversion of carbon to carbon monoxide, that is percentage heat loss, and I will term it as L5. So before proceeding forward, you must be aware of that carbon takes part in the combustion in two ways, that is when the supply of air is sufficient and when the supply of air is not sufficient, that is in poor supply of air. In presence of good supply of air, carbon dioxide is getting produced along with the release of 8084 kilocalorie of heat energy per kg of carbon. But when the supply of air is not sufficient, then carbon monoxide will be produced along with generation of 2430 kilocalorie of heat energy per kg of carbon. So from here you can easily see that if the supply of air is not proper or the supply of oxygen is not good, then there is a reduction in the generation of heat energy, which can easily be calculated from these two equations as 8084 minus 2430, it will come as 5654 kilocalorie of heat energy per kg of carbon. So if the supply of oxygen is not proper, this much less heat will be generated from the carbon, because in this case carbon monoxide will be produced as against carbon dioxide. So friends, this carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide will be found present at the exhaust side because these are the byproduct of the combustion which is taking place in the combustion chamber of the boiler. Generally, carbon monoxide in the flue gas is given in the form of ppm, say 800 ppm. I am assuming the value as 800 ppm. What does this ppm mean? This ppm means parts per million. This is parts per million. Now 800 ppm, what does this means? This means that in 1 million we have 800 parts of CO. So by using the simple unitary method, I can say in 1 we will have 800 divided by 1 million, that is 800 divided by 10 to the power 6. And if I convert this value into percentage, I need to multiply this with 100. So ultimately in terms of percentage, my percentage CO, that is percentage carbon monoxide, will come as 800 divided by 1 million multiplied by 100, that is 0.08%. So what I have done, I have converted the value of CO from ppm to percentage. Now the value of CO2 percentage in flue gas is generally given as CO2 percentage. So no need of further conversion. Now remember, CO, that is carbon monoxide, CO2, carbon dioxide will be formed from the carbon present in the fuel. So generally it happens that if the supply of air is poor, both of these components will be present in the exhaust of the flue gas. Now since CO and CO2 is getting formed from the carbon present in fuel itself, so we need to calculate how much part of this carbon has resulted in the formation of carbon monoxide. Then only we can calculate how much heat loss have occurred on account of partial conversion of carbon to carbon monoxide. Now if I am having the percentage of carbon monoxide in the exhaust flue gas and I am having the percentage of CO2 in the exhaust flue gas, then I can calculate the part of carbon leading to the formation of carbon monoxide. Now as the carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide will be formed from the same carbon, what I can calculate? I can calculate the ratio in which the carbon monoxide has been formed. And how we can calculate that ratio? That ratio is nothing but the amount of carbon monoxide present in the exhaust flue gases to the sum of the carbon monoxide and the carbon dioxide present in the exhaust flue gas. If I have calculated the ratio in which the carbon monoxide is present in the exhaust flue gas, I can say that this carbon which is present in the fuel has been used in the same proportion. Now I can calculate how much of this carbon which is present in the fuel has resulted in the formation of carbon monoxide. Since this is the ratio in which the carbon monoxide has been found in the exhaust flue gas, so accordingly I can say that this much is the value of the carbon which have resulted in the formation of carbon monoxide. So now when I have calculated the amount of carbon which have resulted in the formation of carbon monoxide, I can easily calculate my heat loss, because from 1 kg of carbon the heat loss, as we can see, is 5654 kilocalorie of heat energy. So accordingly, from this much carbon, because this much carbon has been resulted in the formation of carbon monoxide, so accordingly this much carbon will result in the loss of, this much is the amount of carbon and this is the loss which is linked per kg of carbon. So the heat lost with the formation of carbon monoxide, or you can say the partial conversion of carbon to carbon monoxide, is this much. and I will be calling this as equation 1. Now again the same assumption I have taken, that is 1 kg of fuel. Now one thing you remember, this carbon is the amount of carbon present in 1 kg of fuel, because we have assumed that we are considering 1 kg of fuel in our entire calculations. Now heat input. Now again, since our assumption is 1 kg of fuel, so heat input from 1 kg of fuel will be given by the equation mass of fuel multiplied by GCV. Now mass of fuel will be 1 because of our assumption, and accordingly heat input from the fuel will be calculated as GCV, and this will be my equation number 2. Now the L5, that is heat loss due to partial conversion of C to CO, that is carbon monoxide, will be given by the ratio of 1 and equation 2, which is nothing but percentage CO divided by percentage CO plus percentage CO2 multiplied by carbon multiplied by 5654 divided by GCV multiplied by 100. So friends, I hope now it is very much clear. So basically L5, as you have got, is this one. Now friends, the other losses are L6, that is percentage heat loss due to radiation, convection and other unaccounted losses. The 7th one is percentage heat loss due to unburnt in fly ash. The last one, that is L8, is the heat loss due to unburnt in bottom ash. Friends, generally the percentage heat loss due to radiation, convection and other unaccounted losses is given in the form of percentage. Suppose it is given that you have to assume that the loss L6 as 1%. So you will directly put the value of this L6 as 1%. Now the L7 and L8, that is the percentage heat lost due to unburnt in fly ash and unburnt in bottom ash. These two are very easy to calculate. I am not getting into the depth because already the video has become long. If you want to know about these two losses separately, do write your comment in the comment section, or you can directly WhatsApp me to my WhatsApp number, which is given in the description box. So friends, now I think it is very much clear how to calculate the losses L1 to L8. Now once you have calculated the losses, you can calculate the efficiency of boiler very easily using the formula 100 minus L1 plus L2 plus L3 plus L4 and so on up to L8. That simply means that you are subtracting each of the losses you have calculated from the 100 so as to arrive the value of efficiency of the boiler. So the calculation of efficiency of boiler using this concept is what is called as calculation of boiler efficiency using indirect method. Now again I want to recall you that heat loss, that is percentage heat loss, is nothing but the heat loss divided by heat input. So friends, if you have liked my today's video, it is my request to kindly like, share and do subscribe my channel. So friends, this is all for the day. We will be meeting very soon with our next topic. Till then, bye bye and do take very good care of yourselves.